So we've just been talking about all her past year on the street, and now to talk to us more about Nicola, Nicola, the other Nicola, again, hello.
Nicola.
Oh, sorry, I'll get it right one day. Or is it
you guys
Fiona or
doing?
Julia? I don't know.
Oh, I've no idea. Can you believe it? Just when you think that sort of gag has lived its last, then they put it on Bloomin' this morning.
Oh no, I can't believe it.
I just wonder whether it's going to stop now you're not in the programme anymore.
No, I like to think that I will live on. Maybe they'll just accidentally cut to a shot of me with Jack Shepherd
Maybe you could just turn up to work one day.
I probably will. I fully intend to.
Yeah.
I've not. It's not quite, sunk in that I'm not there anymore.
Oh, it's so sad.
I know that was a big shock to viewers on Wednesday because people saw in the previews that you were. Well, that Nicola was going to Bristol along with Eileen, and they were saying, "Are they going? Are they really going?" And you are.
Yeah, I am. It was one of those because I know they kind of announce things if people are leaving, but I've only been there a year, and I was always only meant to be there to see the Phelan storyline through. But what's been really lovely is that they've, I think they maybe originally had different plans for Nicola, but what is nice now is that they've left that door open.
Yeah.
To go back, which would obviously be amazing because I've honestly had the best year of my life working with that bunch.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun. But yeah, so I thought, I'd rather let the story kind of play out.
Right.
It was nice to hear that people were sad that she was going rather than like, yes, hate the bitch.
Yeah, I mean, there were all across forums, across Twitter, when people, I saw so many messages going, not really going, I hope you're not really going, are you? And then,
yeah, because people can be, as you know, very brutal on social media, and they're not backwards in coming forwards if they don't like something. But
yeah, they'll say it, and they'll tag me in it as well, which I think is hilarious. But the number of times I've been tagged in criticism, but just really nasty stuff. I'm like, cheers, man.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? It's like they don't believe that you're real people or something.
Yeah, it's like, shall I send you a personal postcard with my feelings on you?
Yeah.
So you've just been on holiday to Florida for a few weeks, haven't you? Are you having a long break now, or you got any future plans coming up?
Well, actually, weirdly, the Florida break, I still had some days filming after the Florida break.
Oh.
Did you?
Yeah, in fact, I did my last day, the day that Charlie and I got back.
Wow.
So there's one particular scene where I think I look a little bit jet lagged. So yeah, actually, that just happened to fall on when we both found out that we had 2 weeks to go away, so I went to Florida, which was great. And then since I've been back, I have been, I can't say obviously everything, but I've been been able to kind of pick up stuff that I began before Coronation Street, and just back to the grind, as it were.
Yeah.
But life's very different after Coronation Street. More than anything, you learn so much about TV and how it works. Because the turnaround is so quick. I don't think it's rushed necessarily, not from my point of view. I'm sure the directors would say the opposite. But this, in terms of that experience, has just been incredible. And the fan base as well. I mean, I've never experienced anything like the sort of support and interest from fans. And even people, I don't know if any of the other actors you've spoken to said this, but what happens a lot in the street is someone coming over and going, I don't watch it, I don't like it, I prefer EastEnders, but can I have a picture to send to me, ma'am? People they're so honest, they're so open about the fact that they hate, Coronation Street, but can we have a photo? I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
I bet they love it, really. They're just think they're too cool for Corrie.
That's it, yeah, people think they're too cool for Corrie. But there we go. But you know what? No such thing. And to be there under Kate Oates was just, such a privilege.
Yeah.
So yeah, she will be sorely missed.
Yeah, definitely. Can you tell us a bit about the bit where you were shot in Corrie? How that was to film? That sounds really fun.
It was super fun. I should tweet some photos, actually. I've got loads of little... Because, like, for days, I was just walking around work covered in this sticky red sugar blood thing.
Oh, God.
It's really tasty. It's like the stuff they put on toffee apples.
Oh, right. Ooh.
So, yeah, it was really interesting. But I spent most of the time, obviously, just on the floor. Dying. In fact, I think one of the directors who did one of the blocks thought that Nicola actually did die. Because I was really hamming up that.
You were really good at it. I was very worried.
Yeah, I think we all were for a second.
Yeah, no, that's who it was. It was the first lady was like, "Oh, we're so sorry that that Nicola's permanently leaving." I was like, "Oh no, she survived." It's like, "Oh, it is but a scratch." And it was nice because it was the first time that I'd been in a scene with like most of those characters, certainly Michelle and Robert, and it was just funny to like watch. It's the most surreal moment I've ever had on the show, just lying on the floor of the bistro, having Robert and Michelle like peer over me, and I just had this lovely moment of like, oh God, I'm doing this for a job.
Professionally ruining Michelle's wedding. Now that's a really good job to have.
I was like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Nicola. Sorry to interrupt this wedding. But yeah, that whole thing was super fun, and like we had the gun on set, and it is a real weapon and all that kind of thing. So it's like it's one of those days where everyone's on the ball as much as they can be. And I just had a ton of blood everywhere. It stained my skin at one point.
Oh no!
But lovely. And so guns, babies, and blood. It's just amazing.
I like how you said it was tasty, because I imagine they should have got a shot of like Phelan licking the blood off his fingers just to add to that creepy serial killer vibe.
Licking the wound.
Oh, gross.
No, I've really got a taste for it now. Blood.
Vampire.
It's good. But that last scene with me and him as well, I thought was what Connor did, because there was obviously not all that kind of stuff is scripted, those moments. But I don't know if you remember or if you noticed that, like, when he takes Michelle hostage, just before he does so, he sort of like comes down to Nicola and says it wasn't meant to be like this.
Yes.
Right.
And I just thought that was such a lovely kind of thing, a lovely line and a lovely moment for them to have, because it just showed that, right up until the end, he wasn't all bad, I guess.
I know, I still keep thinking that, but then I'm like, am I a monster too?
Why do we love these people who are just do awful things?
Well, I don't know why you like him, because he's never shot me.
I know. And I love that you guys picked up on how just cheery Nicola seemed to be when she found out that her dad had died.
I know.
On reflection, I was like, oh yeah, that was maybe that was a little, wasn't quite bleak enough, but there we go.
Bit harsh, I'd say.
Bit harsh.
Yeah.
But there we go.
Now, dare we talk Piers Morgan?
Oh yes, of course.
Oh no, do we want to get into it? I don't know.
Interesting one, isn't it? Like I've spoken to. Do you want me to say what happened, or like?
Yeah, we won't have talked about it yet on the podcast at this point. So yeah, you tell us your experience of it.
Basically, I wrote an article last week about sexism on the red carpet, and the effects that has, not just obviously on the women who are walking the red carpet, but the women and people who are reading these articles, because at the end of the day, I think if a woman reads an article about other women and they're spoken to in that way, you start to believe that is how you deserve to be spoken to. And the same with men. Men feel like, oh, maybe this language is okay, and this way that I could treat a woman is okay, because it's all over the papers. Anyway, I got a call to come in to talk about it with Piers Morgan, and as usual they kind of try and trivialise the point and say, so that the item opened with, and Coronation Street actress Nicola Thorp wants photographers to be banned on the red carpet, and I was like, what? No, I definitely didn't say that. I mean, that's the whole point of them. And then we went on to have what was essentially a slanging match between myself, Piers Morgan, and Neil Wallace, the former editor of the News of the World. And the second I walked into the studio, they're like, "Oh, Piers, how you doing, old buddy?" You know, that kind of old boys club. And I thought,
bunch of old cronies.
Yeah, dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And actually, Piers Morgan, I think when I've met him before in real life, is a very, very sweet, charming man, very inoffensive and very welcoming. He'll be the first to come over and shake my hand and say hello, thank you for coming in, kind of thing. So that kind of insight makes me think, well, this is it's even more of a pantomime than one might expect. But then he went on to tweet photographs of me at, I think it's the NTA.
I know.
And saying that, you know, because I had a split in the side of my skirt and a low cut dress on, that I was somehow asking to be objectified. And my point to him was, well, if you don't know the difference between you know, taking a photo of a woman and describing what she looked like, and then describing what she looked like in a derogatory and objectifying way. Well, to be honest, I don't know why I was talking to Piers Morgan about it. He's literally paid photographers to hound men and women, not just, you know, people who are actors or entertainers, but also like the families of dead children who have been in the press. You know,
that's like the least offensive thing he's done is the paparazzi, like, red carpet stuff. He's done much worse than that. He's sitting there like he's so great and on the moral high ground.
And the two of them just tried to turn it around and say, oh, you know, you're just looking for, you walk the red carpet for publicity, you want to promote yourself. I'm like, hang on, I've been invited there, it's a work do. I believe
that one of the arguments they genuinely thought was a good one was, well, if you don't like it, you shouldn't go then.
I know, such a good argument, hey?
Brilliant.
It's like a 14. It was... Yeah, as the idea that, you know, if you don't want to be criticised, don't go on the red carpet. I'm like, hey, I don't want to be criticised. I don't think any human being, you know, wants to be unfairly criticised. But hey, I know that is part of when you are in the public arena or whatever, that's going to happen. I don't mind that. But the unfair and constant sexist language that is used in the press, by journalists is just appalling. You know, like when Isabel Steele at the soap wars, when she was told to flash a bit of flash because she was...
And that journalist, I forgot, is it Tracy Lee Sayer? She still hasn't actually apologised or...
Yeah, not a proper
No. She apologised because she didn't know that Izzy was
she was 17,
But there we go. And I want to thank you guys as well for being fantastic with everything you were tweeting.
Thank you.
I was following everything. I was just scrolling through my timeline, and then me and some of the other cast were just messaging each other going, oh my god, have you read Conversation Street? What the latest tweet? They're like, oh my god, Gemma's on a roll.
This was Gemma. I think I can't take very much credit for that one.
It was just so brilliant to read that, because to me it's really simple. But these kind of people in the position of Neil Wallace and Piers Morgan obviously feel quite threatened, I think, by
it's weird,
somebody.
Isn't it? They really feel like that. I guess they like to have like women in a little box where they know that looks, you know.
They do.
And it's like, your power is your looks, and my power is everything else.
It's everything else. That's so true, because he was saying to me, he's like, and you're here on the red carpet trying to, of course you're going to wear a low-cut top to try and get some press attention. Yeah. And it's like, but to promote myself, as if somehow showing... Well, the assumption, therefore, is that anyone who is reading a newspaper is a straight male for a start.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is not
ridiculous.
The case. And also, I don't see how... I get there is a fine line for people because sexuality is so subjective. But under no circumstances should anybody feel, because of how they dress, that they should be objectified by somebody in the same room, let alone someone who's reading a newspaper, you know, hundreds of miles away.
Yeah, and the Isabel Steele and also your experience just perfectly proves the point that there is literally nothing that a woman can wear that it makes her sort of like, quotation marks, safe from this kind of commentary, because Isabel Steele wore, you know, like a full-length dress all the way down to her ankles and her wrists, and she got told that she wasn't sexy enough. And you wore a dress and all you had was like the middle part of your chest, and everything else was covered, and you know, people wouldn't shut up about that. And I had so many arguments with people who couldn't understand the fact that the centre of your chest is not where your breasts are.
I know. People are like,
that's like,
she's got her tits hanging out. I was like, no, quite the opposite. They are covered. And also, if they were, that would be a question of it being appropriate. And obviously, I you know, it might not be appropriate to go topless to a work event. I agree with that. However, I really loved what I wore, and
it was lovely.
I thought
really, really.
Yeah,
cool.
I don't want to worry about it. I felt like a Star Wars character of sorts. You know, I loved it, and I felt really, really happy and really, really confident. And then all of a sudden, you read that kind of thing, and I can, you know, I feel obviously very passionate about it, and I think some of my friends always kind of assume they're like, oh, but you take it on, and you're really strong to do that, blah blah blah. But there are times, you know, a couple of days afterwards where I mean, the other night I just broke down and just cried because Piers Morgan had said that I was asking for it, and I was like, what world is this? This guy who I've seen and hated, it's, you know, on TV for years. Now I've suddenly found myself the subject of his like argument, and it was really horrible. But what is really nice is that people, you know, for the one person, the few people like him, there are more people out there who are more vocal about it. And I just hope that if someone sees me be vocal about it in that arena, then maybe they will feel empowered to speak up about it at school or at work or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and that's not even the first time that you spoke to Piers, is it? Because you went on...
No.
When was it?
It was in last year, I think it was January last year, about high heels.
Shoes.
Yeah.
Did he remember you?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, he remembered me.
He didn't bring it. It didn't come up, did it? Because I was kind of expecting to feel like, oh, here you go again. Always going about clothes. But
do you know what? I think it's because in a year's time, I think that opinion, the public opinion, has totally shifted in favour of it, and he would hate to bring up something, be reminded of him being wrong about something. Just that I fully believe that if I was to be interviewed by him again in a year's time, he wouldn't say anything about what we spoke about on Monday, because I think by that time people would openly be discussing the fact that that is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, you've got to keep pushing at the boundaries, haven't you, and kind of like moving the goalposts of what you can say. And I think people have been, you know, people have been getting away with it for so long that it feels like it's totally normal. But
they really have.
Yeah, if you step back and actually think about what it is that you're saying, and there's always all these stupid arguments about, oh, no one says it about men, and then they tried to bring Aidan Turner into it. I
know, I love that, like, poor Aidan is like the one guy that any men ever bring up about when it comes to objectification. And as I said that day, I was like, objectification and body shaming of anybody, male or female, is wrong.
Yeah, it's like, you don't get away with it by saying, oh, yeah, women do it to men, and then they come back with, oh, but some women do it to other women. It's like, oh, I didn't know women were immune from being sexist about other women. Great.
Yeah, but this is why I firmly believe that Piers Morgan is genuinely a quite nice in his own way, but stupid man. And the only way that he's been able to hide his stupidity is by putting on this pantomime villain kind of character. I think it fascinated me because actually I think he was quite insecure, because he would just say the controversial thing rather than go for something intellectual or with any level of understanding of where I was coming from.
Not try to think about anyone else's point of view, because he's so entrenched in his own. And I guess if he starts to examine his position, and if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't want to start thinking too hard about what I've been doing with my life.
No, God, no. But also, he's the puppet now, isn't he? He used to be the puppeteer. He was in charge of everything. Yeah. And he's now being told, in a sense, I'm sure he's obviously got a lot of influence in what he does, but ultimately now he has become presenter rather than like editor and producer. He might produce as well, I don't know, I've not checked that fact, but it's just really interesting to see him thrust himself into the spotlight. And also, can we just think about the fact that what Piers Morgan has done in his life, with everything with the Daily Mirror, etc., the London Inquiry, how is he presenting breakfast television to the nation when there are women out there who are so much more qualified and likeable and capable and deserving? And this is what this gender divide does as well, because he's controversial and male, and he's got thrown into that position. Mind you, the same thing happened with Katie Hopkins.
I know.
But isn't it interesting that he has gotten away with all of that, but because of the privileged background that he has, and the fact that our society protects men like him, he's able to read us the news while we eat our breakfast.
Oh God, no. I wouldn't better keep it down, honestly. I can't understand why people like him. And like you say, like Katie Hopkins is kind of in disgrace now, isn't she? She got kicked out of...
Yeah, she's been disgraced. But he was disgraced so many times, and then he's got his own talk show, and he's on TV, and you go, I wonder why that is. There we go.
He just likes to say the things that are going to rile people up, because the things he was saying about you in the soap was ridiculous. We were there, obviously, in the crowd. The dress was gorgeous. It wasn't too revealing at all. And you
even if it was, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course.
And you and Charlie were not there just to publicise yourselves. We could tell you two were there longer than almost anyone else talking to the fans. You were so good with everybody.
Yeah. Oh, we loved it. Do you know what? It was it was one of my favourite nights ever. My mum and dad were there as well. It was so lovely to see you in the crowd as well. And meet people, people come, they travel really, really, really far to come and see shows like that. And when we arrived, so we arrived together, and they sort of hurried us into this room where they were having press calls and stuff like that. And they said, you don't have time to go outside. And I was like, but that's crazy. So if ever people get upset because they've waited, and then some of the actors get shuttled away, often it isn't their fault. But that time I did just say, do you mind if I go out? And then it was so much fun. Both of us came out and got to meet loads of fans at the show and have photos and stuff. It was super cool. Because obviously
it was fun. It was fun when you come up to me and got to say hello as well. I think we were both as excited as each other.
I was like, oh my God, Michael, hi. I lost my mind. I wish I had my phone at that moment to take a photo with you.
I know, and I did, and I didn't ask for one.
We will do that.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
We will.
Well, I still got a photograph of me and you at from the quiz last year.
From that quiz? Yeah. I hope that's happening again this year.
I know, I hope so.
That'll be really fun.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys as well for your support over the past year for me and the character, as it were. And I'm going to obviously carry on listening to Conversation Street going forward.
It's been our pleasure.
I feel like it's weird. It's like when you leave school and you're like,
we're like the teachers, and you've got to keep coming back and showing us your work.
The teachers, I just want to still come back to.
I
love it. I want you to do the podcast of any job I ever do, ever.
Yeah, okay.
Well, hopefully you will be back on, Corrie. As you say, the doors are open still.
I hope so. And because there's a new producer coming in. It genuinely is a case of if there's a storyline there, because she was meant to just leave for good after Phelan. That was always the kind of deal, and I knew that going in. That my time there was limited. But what was really nice is that instead of having like a finite ending or anything, just moved to Bristol.
Bristol.
So if people want her back, and if the storyline allows for it, then I would love to, because I've had just the best time.
And I think people do. Corrie's about strong women, and Nicola Rubinstein is that. I mean, she stood up to Phelan. I mean, how stronger do you need?
Stand up to Phelan.
So,
and I've loved playing her. It's been great fun.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It's been lovely speaking to you again.
Pleasure. I just did a little curtsy. Oh my god!
Ooh.
Such a lovey. I literally just went, "That is a pleasure," and then
we didn't bring flowers.
you can't see me.
We should throw flowers at you.
I'm in Manchester Airport car park, just talking to myself on my headphones, doing a little tiny curtsy. Yeah, but it's no different from usual. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.